Afternoon. Welcome to the Block 4, Unit 16, the last unit of the Retail Management Program. We'll be continuing in Block 4, the Retail Operations Management, to another critical area of CRM. CRM is an acronym which stands for Customer Relationship Management, which is not a new subject, but it has been there. It has been there for ages, practiced by retailers both in the unorganized and then it came to the unorganized sector, to the organized sector in retail. And it is today, it has assumed a critical significance in terms of the retail business. So just to dovetail, to go more into understanding what is CRM, what is the need for it, how it is getting, impacting the the retail scenario today. In India, what is the retail parameters, how it has been able to leverage itself in terms of the customer relationship management. And going forward, look into the importance of technology, which has kind of been an enabler in enhancing the customer relationship management practices across the businesses. And more so, we're looking at the retailing segment. So it is not that CRM is only restricted to retail sector, but it is accepted by almost all the businesses that are existing in the market today. And today it has become an integral part of a strategy. Hence, CRM is become a strategic tool for most of the companies. Now, when we talk about it, uh, it talks about a combination of, when you talk about CRM today, customer relationship, which had a very rudimentary start. Today it has become more complex. It has become a combination of technology, what kind of practices, and I was telling you the strategy that you're talking about. The idea over here is the ensuring that the customer, who is at the center of all the marketing activities, is given the due importance and the interactions so that you can leverage on the potential of the customer going forward. Now, just to go back to the evolution of CRM, I would like all of you to look into your own yourself, put yourself in the shoes of a customer, and they are going to a kirana store, which is or a convenience store nearby. Now, when you go and purchase from them, what is the kind of a relationship or a kind of approach that the retailer does so that they engage you better? When we say engage you better, they can engage you with respect to the kind of product displays, the kind of information that they pass on, the kind of the courtesies that they give you, the kind of behavior that they show towards yours, and the kind of time they spend in understanding what your real problems are, and then curate those products to cater to your. It happens in case of services. For example, if you want to go to, let's say, a bank, and you want to talk about investment plans, the relationship manager will curate it according to that, according to the customer needs. So relationship is something which isn't been there right from the beginning, ever since business started. Yes, how do customers benefit? How do the buyer and the seller are benefiting from each other? That's the crux. Gone are those days where we are in a seller's market and we have already gone through a paradigm shift in terms of what the seller wants. They cannot dictate the terms to the customer. Today's customer is a far more knowledgeable customer, more engaging customer, and a customer who is ready to ask many questions to the retailer before making a purchase. So it is not going to be an easy cakewalk for any retailer or any manufacturer to market their product just on the hunch that it should have certain product qualities, it should talk about some advertisements, and that should lead to conversions. Today's customer is a far more engaged customer and is a far more knowledgeable customer. And not only that, today the customer is using technology in order to get more information, not only regarding your products, but also your competitor products, and compares them and before taking a well-informed decision. So when you talk about relationship, yes, it has to take care of all these parameters in terms of the term called relationship. So whether in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of customer engagement, in terms of customer experiences, and towards the end we look into also customers are not coming for a one-time purchase. How do we retain those customers? Today's CRM initiatives are mostly trained towards or focused towards not only getting customers. Yes, that part is there, but taking on board, engaging with them, giving them the right kind of experiences, and culminating in a kind of a satisfaction which ensures future relationship as well in terms of referrals, in terms of upscaling, in terms of purchases which can come up in future. Thereby, the customers are retained with the retail outlet, and obviously, we look into something called the lifetime value. When we say lifetime value, there is a particular way in which you can calculate the customer lifetime value. So when you look into customer lifetime value being higher, what does that indicate? It is an indicator that the customer is perhaps with whichever organization or the company or the retailer that they are dealing with has a better relationship or has a better connect. Now, how does that? Why should that be an important factor? Because understand today's market is in terms of when you're looking at the marketers' cost of acquiring customers, they spend a lot of money, right? And if you are able to cater to acquiring the customer through your experiences, through the customer experience, through giving services, through value-added services, you are enhancing the satisfaction parameter of the customer. And as in the process, the customer feels, I will not say, obligated, but definitely feels that yes, there is certain amount of trust which can be established. So retailers or marketers try to build in or kind of look into avenues by which the customer is feeling good about their engagement and would like to stay with that particular retailer or the organization for a longer period of time. Now, if you look into today's CRM initiatives, it is more to do with how technology has come as a dimension to completely revamp. Because what we are talking about customer relationship in a very simple manner, today the complications have grown significantly. Of course, the retailers have grown in size, the companies have grown in size. So also as customers' need parameters have undergone a sea change. The way they are assessing their needs are very different from what, say, a decade back, a same person was trying to do. So today, the customer is far more tech savvy, is far more exposed to various technology driven stimuluses from the retailers and marketers. So it becomes important that how you engage with them on a digital platform, on the technology platform, and whatever touch points that you have, what kind of data is collected. Because understand earlier this was perhaps one of the major missing link, that okay, though relationship was practiced by the retailers or the marketers, there was no documented kind of, or there was no way to keep a track of it, that okay, how many interactions, how many transactions, what kind of engagement did we have. But today with the application of technology, that data capture has become very synonymous with the relationship. Thereby what happens, a customer or the customer knows that if I'm going to that place, what I can expect from them. And also from the retailer side, they also understand, because they are able to keep track and monitor the customer interactions and their engagement parameters. Obviously they are able to curate better, they are able to serve the customer better, and the customer benefits in the long run. Now, how it has evolved, I've just already given you that basically when relationships started, it was mostly a bookkeeping account. Okay, perhaps you would put it into a register. Okay, I mean, what kind of credit terms, like for example, if I go to a retail store, I'm buying on a monthly basis and I'm paying him on a monthly. He's extending the credit on certain terms, right? Obviously, that's not going to happen immediately. First time I go, I may not get any kind of credit. But if I go frequently, if I patronize that store, then the retailer starts believing in me, and sometimes they are able to acknowledge that okay, even if I don't have money, they would extend credit facilities to us, and thereby I can channelize my customer. Now, when I'm doing that, the customer also needs to be. It may so happen that they may not pay up and go. So that's a risk which is there. But the point is, because you have built in so much into that relationship, you would like to extend that thing to the customer, and that builds in loyalty, that builds in satisfaction, and that works wonders because the man-to-man interaction or the one-to-one interaction that you get in the traditional mode of a retail outlet, that where is the made very rudimentary in terms of the relationship pattern. But as businesses grew, as customers became more aware of things, or when they started looking for options and they started increasing the reach of their possible alternatives, then came the question of how do you retain these customers. So that's where technology came as a big initiative, and the big retailers which deal with endless number of customers, right? Keeping track of this one-to-one interaction or the personalization that we talk about became more complicated and of course, as we have already seen in the previous sessions, that manpower, the people who are dealing with them, if they are changing with every changing staff member, I don't know what kind of an interaction did the customer have. So if you are able to document it, if you are able to track or capture the kind of engagement that the customer has in terms of your buying and purchases, you will say that okay, how many times the customer visited, what kind of products they have purchased. If you're into both the offline and online, what kind of search are you doing? All these can be today possible with the application of technology. So things are getting automated, you're getting reminders, you're getting and analytics, which has come up as a big way, where the algorithms are basically designed to understand what the market speaks or what the customer speaks or what the customer needs are, how the buying patterns are changing, what kind of queries they can have. Now, all these can be basically monitored and tracked by use of technology and by through automation, analytics, and AI. Today, when you look at it from a CRM integration point of view, today's CRM initiatives looks into how do you amalgamate the practices that you have, the relationship practices that you have, and with the technology, and so that you can cater to the customers. And today, it is, as I told you before, that it has become more strategic in nature because every business requires customer relationship, whether it's in a B2B space or in a B2C space. Yes, the degree of involvement, the degree of analyzing the interactions can differ, but there is no denying the fact that whether it is a B2B or a B2C, whether it's on offline or an online, there's an ever increasing need to track customer engagements and to serve the customer to their satisfaction. So if that is the thing, what kind of it is widely being used across all businesses, mostly in marketing, sales, and services, and thereby the customer feel that yes, they are someone who are acknowledged and appreciated by the customer. The customer always will respond to some kind of initiatives by the seller where they are consciously telling that okay, we acknowledge you, we give you the respect, we are out to help you out. So today's customers are far more, you can say their expectations have increased substantially. But to meet those expectations, I must know what are they looking for. So for the marketer, it is very important that I must have a kind of a technique or a platform which enables me to understand the personal parameters of the customer, which the customer is willing to share with me, and how I can quick fix by giving a kind of a solution to those problems, right? So that is what is the today's CRM need and importance is. And this is very much important, which can be related to your revenues, to your profitability, looking at it from a business point of view. Because if you do not do, it would be a very a bad show, because the customers would feel unengaged and they will feel that you are being not being treated well. You somewhere down that you have a disconnect, and when that happens, the customer will feel aggrieved. And not only that, they could affect your future sales, because you're talking about viral marketing experiences being shared today. You must be seeing how customers are sharing their experiences on the social media. It just take few minutes just to grab a reel and then put it onto the social media, on the Facebook or the Insta. It catches on quickly. So any kind of wrongdoings also get a very a kind of a noticeability, which goes viral and becomes almost uncontrollable. So customer today, marketers, yes, today we have to understand the regulations. If you look at the difference between a kirana store or the unregulated market to a regulated market, from an unorganized sector to organized sector, unorganized sector may not have so much of the rules and regulation, but for a organized sector retailer, they have to be, they are bound by rules, they're bound by so many parameters. So that also kind of builds a lot of credibility in terms of what kind of CRM initiatives are being taken from the provider side to take the customers, to attend to individual customer problems, and catering to that through their products, services, and various other engagements, right? So the communication that you have to do in terms of establishing relationship can significantly vary from one. That's why the personalization is so important, right? So CRM basically looks into a very proactive method of engaging with the customer in terms of understanding their needs and preferences, and also understanding what kind of solution areas they are looking forward to. How would they? So the entire journey of the customer life cycle can be basically managed well if you are having a very robust kind of a CRM strategy as a strategy, and in the process you'll be able to derive better results going forward. Now, what would be a kind of a the Indian scenario if you look into the market of CRM? As I told you before, CRMs today are adopted by most of the companies, whether you're in the service sector or in the manufacturing sector, you're dealing with a B2B or a B2C. It has become more critical because it gives you that it has been adopted at not only at the global level but also at the domestic level. It has become a need of the hour, because if you do not do that, you'll be completely losing focus in the marketplace, and you will not be able to connect that important connect with the customer. Now, let's go to the objectives of the CRM. What are the objectives? As you can very rightly see here, obviously, as I told you, improve customer experiences. Now, I told you that customers have a lot of expectations today. Today's customer is a far more, the new age consumer is a far more informed, knowledgeable, and is not going to just get swayed by your, very brilliant ads that you make, or the promotion that you take. They would do a lot of vetting. They would do a lot of analysis at their end before they come, and of course that can significantly vary according to the kind of products or the merchandise that they are engaging in. But as you move from very what we call the low price, or which are called staples, they may not think so much, but even there is a learning over there. So customer learning experiences basically triggers what kind of a relationship the retailer has with them. And not only that, today you may go with a query without, let's say, I want to clean, do a whitewashing of my house. So I want to change the interior decors. Now, if I go to a paint shop, the retailer might tell me that, okay, fine, I'll give you the products and you take it. But if they say, okay, you want to look for, they probe further, if I'm a frequent customer and they know that I have been purchasing on certain kind of products, they know, what are you doing? Are you constructing new house? So that gives you a narrative, a platform to say, to engage with the customer. Thereby, the customers know what kind of experiences they would come out with their problem areas, and the retailer also tries to solve the problem. And that kind of a platform can be developed today. Today we are engaging with Autobots so that you can enhance the kind of interaction with the customers, very focused interaction with the customers in order to have a better exchange with the customers. Now, that experience is critical for you to, for the customer to patronize you in the long run. If my experiences have been bad, suppose you're going to a restaurant and you have been had a bad experience, would you like to share? Obviously not. The same thing holds good. If you go to a retail chain, you go to a Pizza Hut, just ringing the bell to show satisfaction is not the actual way of reading satisfaction. It is more to do with how people in the retail chain or in those Domino's or in the Pizza Hut outlet, how are they engaging with the customer? So that becomes critical, and where these people can be motivated to bring in their own family, relatives, friends, and so on and so forth, or spread a good word of mouth. Thereby, they would go more patronized, they will make more visits, they will bring in more customers, and the customer lifetime value would increase. So you are leveraging more from by investing in one particular customer. Now, how is that engagement is done? That is what the CRM the CRM as an initiative has to take care, right? So the one of the biggest takeaway is that it boosts sales, obviously, and not only that, it helps you to identify where are the goof ups, because the customer you engage in such a strong connect with the customer at all times. Thereby, what happens, it becomes easy for you to understand where the problems are and where you need to create more manual interventions, or where you can create your, you can automate the things. For example, today, when you're talking about a ATM counter or you're talking about a vending machine, why you're doing that? Because you want to streamline the operation, you want to cut down the manual interventions as much as possible. But wherever there's a manual intervention required, yeah, you have people who can take care of it. So today, the automation which is done very, very effectively in order to augment the processes in the service delivery process, so that the customer looks for quick service, the response time being less. So thereby, it helps you to streamline your services by having a very responsive customer relationship. If you do not invest in that, you would never know what the customer views are, and they would never feel confident also of sharing, because understand, nobody likes sharing bad things with people. But it is only your, if you have created a kind of a repository of engagement, their touch points, what kind of history did they have, you can throw open many queries and you can calibrate accordingly to personalize the content of your communication, and you can gain. So the engagements that you have, the kind of communication that you have, gives you more key consumer insights, which also opens up avenues for new products, new ideas. Now we talk about design thinking that can also be integrated into the CRM initiative. So if you see broadly, if you see what are the primary objectives, it's basically to build long-term relationship, customer relationship, and also retain those, because retention is in today's world is one of the most important thing, because the competition is extremely high. We have something called the hyper competitiveness in the marketplace. So if that is a scenario, retaining customers is becoming a hell of a challenge for most of the retailers. So CRM can come as a kind of a, I'm not saying that it will not completely solve the problem, but majority has been empirically been proven that yes, if you really invest in your a robust customer relationship management, it helps you to give you better results. It boosts sales, it gives you referrals, it decreases the cost of acquiring a customer. If you are able to service them, you will also find that okay, it's easier to look into the, because the customer experience speaks, they would share. Obviously, it has got an impact on the profitability through the customer via the customer insights. So, what more can be given? What new products can be given? What new services can be coupled together? Can you look into collaborating with some other retailer to value add the services? All these things can be done as a part of the CRM initiative. Let's look into the growth and scope of retailing in India. As I've already told you in the past sessions, that today retail has become a major contributor to the GDP, something like 9 to 10% of the GDP. And going forward, in yesterday's session, I told you that perhaps they're going to hit something like 1.7 or 1.8 billion dollars worth of a market kind of a scenario, which means that to cater to that, you need to have a very robust growth happening. And this is one area which is growing at a rate of 9 to 10%. And it's still in its nascent, I would say, because if you see the organized retail, I was giving you the data that it's only 88% in unorganized sector, but 12% in organized sector. So if you try to see that, and today the presence of organized retail in India is slowly entering the length and the breadth of the country, looking into the selective way of growth, of course. So today it is a major contributor to the GDP, but also it is also a major employment generator, maybe next to agriculture. So most of the retailers cannot do without it. So retailing is something which we cannot get away with. It is going to stay. It is going to evolve. It is going to becoming more intensive. It is going to be more adaptive to technology. Today, customers are going through a sea change. So obviously, the tools and techniques that would be revolving around the usage of the technology to ensure better customer engagement. CRM comes as a very, very important area of creating that disruptor in the marketplace so that they can leverage on it and can add better revenues to your growth plans, and also look into effectively giving a customer, not only acquiring customer but also retaining, right? And today we are looking to not only the brick and mortar, but we are also looking to the online kind of engagements with the in the retailing sector. If you see the online retailing, again, I've been telling you how technology has created a major disruption in that, in case of online. And today, a consumer would use both the avenues, both the channels to basically get the best out of it in terms of their shopping, in terms of their choice of products and brands. So obviously, they are looking into a kind of a major engagement in terms of so CRM becomes critical to wherever there is a customer, they are interacting, or there is a potential area of engagement. CRM is has to be there, right? So that's why it makes it more easily accessible to your customers in terms of customizing also to the individual customer requirements. So retailing, as we saw that retailing holds a lot of promises, and as I told you, as the complications become, as the retail operations become more complex, it becomes very, very important for any organization, right? Because if you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and you deal with so many customers as you grow, as you scale up, as you become a larger entity as a retailer. It becomes very difficult to ensure that one-to-one satisfaction parameter which we're talking about. Yes, that's where the relationship started. But then, if we're talking about a lack of customers, footfalls like 10,000, 15,000 happening during certain period of time of the year, how do you engage with the customers? So over there, you would require CRM with the help of technology. There are CRM softwares which can basically automate certain things and can make certain things flexible in terms of engaging with the customer. So is it a necessity for organization? Yes, it is, because it helps you to give you a significant advantage over your competitors. And how relevant it is, it again differs from the industry to industry. But the point is, in case of retail industry, it is a must, because in this process of B2C, there is no way that you can take away the importance of CRM, right? What does CRM help you in? It helps you in not only engaging with them, but understanding the customer needs, but it also helps you to track their behavior. How many times has the customer has come to the retailer? What kind of schemes has triggered more visits to the store? What is the quantity of the businesses that they have given over a period of time? What is the purchase basket looking like, right? What share of the wallet are we having in terms of their shares, in terms of their investments, or in terms of their shopping behavior? So that becomes very critical for us to track, right? How repetitively they are coming, how they are responding to various kind of marketing communication strategies, and can you predict a certain behavior given these past history? This is where CRM comes handy. And basically, it gives you immediate feedback. And today, with the application of technology, you get real time feedback and data from the customers. So, as a result, your CRM is able to give you better results in terms of response time, in terms of engaging with the customer, the information that you need, which is critical for the customer, right? So, what are the critical components of CRM, if you may see? You will find that it runs across, right, across the business operations or the retail operations. Obviously, sales. Sales, you know that, of course, sales it can be automated to some extent. Of course, there can be manual interventions required, but wherever there is sales automation required, yes, the CRM also helps you to upgrade your sales in terms of getting the repetitive area, like for example given generating a lead or a lead generation activity from various sources. You can classify the degree of involvement in terms of information. The CRM can softwares can understand the algorithms and can classify that what is the prospects, the customer prospects potential to buy or readiness to buy by certain kind of search that they do, certain kind of information that they share with the retailer. And thereby you can say that, okay, this could be a warm, hot, or whatever, then you can categorize them and this all can be automated. And there could be a mailer which could be sent to them. And once the mailer reaches, what kind of a response are they giving? Are you giving the reminders? So and so, right? Once the sales happen, what is the service support that is being given, right? In terms of marketing tools, which one did help them in their sales process, in the sales journey? Which kind of marketing tools did was pricing a factor? Was the product a factor? With the outlet, the location, the kind of the promotion which we are talking about, the promotion mix element, which one gave them better results? All these can be tracked down with the help of CRM today. And services also, because services help in enhancing the customer experiences, and they can say that, okay, the services are something which helps as a differentiator from one retailer to the other. So what kind of backups do you give, what kind of services do you give, and what kind of information that you keep while the services are given? See, one thing is which you also understand that the customer is very much aggrieved if they do not get the right kind of transparency. So CRM helps you to give more transparency, making things more transparent, making it more precise, making it as and when they require, they can work out. So it improves the not only the information of it, the information is saying that, okay, I've given my product for after for services for after sales service. How is that happening? Today I can know by tracking the CRM tools. So it helps you to improve your workflow, because that creates some kind of a pressure also from the provider side that they must be ready with the information. And when you put it into a platform saying that the work is work in progress, or work is not getting it's not happening, or it's stuck up somewhere because of some delivery schedules, then the customer has an ability to come back and ask you a lot of questions. And yes, of course, those questions can be dicey, but at the same time, it should also give you an opportunity for the customer to understand. So the customer feels that this organization is maintaining some kind of transparency. And not only that, every time that you promise your customer, have you been able to meet? For example, if you are having a kind of say, a pricing, or you are given a credit kind of a terms, how you are, getting into it. You must have seen banks giving credit cards. Basically, it is done to increase the shopping behavior of the customer. Many times, if you find that the bank will send you mailers that, okay, you can, if you use this credit card, you can get X and Y Z amount of discounts and so on and so forth. Why do they do that? That triggers that kind of a, because until unless they maintain that consistency in terms of communication, you're not providing any kind of incentive for them to buy. So you have to provide some incentives for them to buy. So that's the, so CRM helps you to understand that for this kind of product purchases or service purchases, the customer is looking for something. So it helps you to curate better and communicate better to the customer. So that makes your CRM initiatives more consistent in terms of engaging with the customer. And operational efficiency, I've already talked about that. If you are looking into eliciting the right kind of needs, you curate also those kind of products. It makes your product planning much more precise. Not only you get into those products which are, you'll also look into which can be sold, but also look at it from the buyer's perspective. So we have gone beyond the sellers. We cannot have product myopia these days, right? If you're doing that, then you're getting into a mess. So buyers, perception are very well captured, and you manufacture that, bring to that, curate that, offer that, and then when that person is using it, they would be happy or unhappy, whatever the case may be. In both cases, there should be a certain amount of response to the customer's requirements. And say, last but not the least, is basically the personalization. That is the key factor which drives any relationship factor in today's market. Because if you're looking into marketing 5.0, we are moving more from mass marketing avenues to more personalization. So even if you're dealing with a construct like area like retailing, which deals with large number of people, the kind of micro management that you need to do in terms of reaching out to the customer or fine tuning the engagement with the customer, you would require something like a CRM, right? So it helps you to fine tune your offerings to the customer and get more targeted offers. Thereby, you are able to reach out to more people in terms of their relevant areas, and also you get conversions. Now, if you are doing that consistently over a period of time, every time you satisfy the customer, you can build in certain amount of loyalty. The loyalty helps you to retain the customer. Not only that, they also give rise to referral sales. Referral sales also increases the store performance in terms of their revenues, in terms of their profitability, right? And another thing which we look into is it offers you different kind of clarity of interaction. So CRM talks about clarity, making the operation more clear and engaging in terms of where would you engage, where would you not engage, what kind of resources can you allocate to take care of that particular the customer requirement. That's where the CRM can really help a retail store regain the customer or create a good word of mouth, right? So they will be able to combine both the kind of engagement in terms of what kind of products that you want, and of course they would ask you the relevant questions. Today chatbots are very strongly used in order to understanding the general parameters, but when it comes to specific, that's where the human intervention will be required. So going forward, if you look into the what kind of the is analytics an important part today? The technology plays a very significant role in terms of engaging with the customer, because as I told you, the impact of CRM would be not only to create more information base, but also to create more footfalls, to create more satisfaction, and also it also helps you to increase the value perception that the customer has. Now, to make it happen, obviously, one of the areas in which CRM is today is trying to do is they are trying to increase the use of technology in order to reach out to the customers. Now, how does that happen? It happens in a, obviously, how you capture the data. You'll find that most of the CRM, whether it's software or a non-software, you will collect certain personal data, right? And then you will track down what kind of services that the person is getting, what kind of purchases that person is making, where do they get, and what quantity of spends that they have done, and what kind of product categories are they spending in a given month. Now, when you look at this from your software, yes, there is a area of concern which we have been talking about is that of privacy. Yes, you do give rise to a lot of things, but at the same time, it can also be looked at from the point of that it's an opportunity for the retailer to understand what kind of areas of what do you call it? I would say the unfelt needs being converted into felt needs. So if you find that okay, there is a demand for the product, but it is latent, can I give more information? Can I make my content revolve around the latent demand and convert it from a latent demand to a more felt need or a felt demand? As a result, you are moving the customer in terms of not only by giving the right kind of information, but also moving them along their customer journey to look for other options, right? So the CRM initiative is primarily the success depends upon the degree to which you can personalize, whether it is through a technology intervention, whether it is through a software intervention. Of course, these days, as I told you, because the competition is so high, I cannot have resources allocated for each and every customer. So, if that is so, what will you do? You have to create a platform where you can have uh, softwares which can actually start using artificial intelligence, for example, where they understand the behavioral pattern of the customer in terms of purchases, how do they evaluate and curate those and only focus on those. So understand today software is not only to monitor these things but also talks in terms of how to give the kind of information back. So that's where the AI tools come into in a major way to basically personalize the kind of engagement with the customer, and thereby what happens, it helps you to register better results in terms of higher conversions, better satisfied customers, and whether it's in B2B or B2C, and at both levels the CRM becomes a kind of a function which cannot be ignored, right? And of course, such things, if you look into companies like Google and all that, do they collect information? There's been a lot of hue and cry about how companies can be so brazen in terms of their usage of software of the information that they collect at the point of purchase. Yes, there is a certain concern there, privacy concerns, but at the same time, we have to be judicious in seeing that privacy concerns are, because that's one of the areas which is a major problematic area, because if I'm sharing some data, and today cyber crimes have grown many times and people can understand what kind of transactions you're doing, how much you're transacting. And if you're, let's say it's almost like a bank accounts getting revealed to the world, then that's the end of the story. So what kind of checks and balances do you have? What kind of guardrails have you put in? Now all this can come up as an application area of using technology-driven CRM initiatives, and that becomes more critical. And understand today we look into another cons of in case of CRM is that today in terms of technology adoption is the kind of data. Today, retail counter, which is having 10,000 customers at their counter, generate 10,000 kind of transactional data. And from there, you have to go back to understand how does the customer connect, how does the customer behave, how does the customer come to know, what kind of areas which they looked into. All these are captured, right? But it also leads to data complexities. So what does that do in terms of it makes it more troublesome. So obviously today's tools are there where you can get into data mining and mining that relevant data so that you can understand the underlying changes that is taking place in the CRM in the retail sector to as far as the customer engagement is concerned, and then you can track it down to give that specific requirement, a specific information or the service or the product according to those need gaps which you have been able to identify. Now, for that to happen, you are boiling down from a broad level data capture to going down to a single level interaction with the customer. So that is something which is very, very cumbersome and can complicate the matter. But today, technology has also been able to prove to be a wonder in that case. So you're balancing it or getting it better with the pros and the cons. Because anything which is good also has a negative side to it. How does the industry uh, create guardrails, the security aspects built into the software so that it cannot be easily hacked into, right? So to continuously have to be careful that their systems are properly upgraded, are able to, they have to have firewall installations which can basically ensure the data safety and data secrecy and thereby achieve better results going forward. So obviously we're looking into a kind of better results by at the usage of CRM. What are the basic benefits? As I've been telling you, yes, it engages with the customer more. It helps you to sell the product more. It gives you more clarity to the customer. The customer also feels more engaged in the sales journey. As a result, what happens? They are able to take a better decision, and perhaps it also leads to customer satisfaction. And then, if the customer is satisfied, then perhaps they would be more trustworthy or with the retailer and would stay with the retailer rather than going to any random retailer which is offering something or the other or giving some fabulous kind of schemes which is unthinkable. But it happens; those kind of disruptions do happen, and some of the customers will fall prey to that. But how do you recover that? So that's again something which has to be done at a personal level with the customer. Of course, the involvement of the staff in developing, giving that gets restricted if you are using technology to measure extent. So what happens is that if you are able to have algorithms which is detecting some kind of difficulty, then they can proactively come and plug the gap. But then those things are becoming the realities in future. And today, employee productivity is also increasing because of these kind of gaps that they're able to find through their tracking mechanisms, right? And obviously, when it is data driven, it helps you to identify the bottlenecks, helps you to streamline the operations, and are able to bring in more engagement with the customers on a selective basis, not on the basis of just for the heck of getting some information, but you're able to uh, mm, provide information in terms of how do you basically utilize the technology in terms of giving better results. Today, if you're looking at software in the retail store, helps you to understand how would the person is information using information, the customer is using information. For example, in the online thing, when you browse, right? Uh, how the search engine is basically optimizing itself to give curate better information. Or when you are on the move and you want to know some kind of retail store presence, for example, you're driving down the highway and you want to know how many retail outlets are there in terms of hotels and restaurants. It's not that today only you need to have it, but today you can use search engine basically using those keywords orientation. For a retailer, it's very important to provide that first connect. So today, when a person is doing on a search on the search engine, how are you creating more information that your keywords, in terms of association, helps you to put your communication at the top when the customer is searching. So that is called search engine optimization, where you are able to create more traction than your customers or competitors in the online space and create more visibility by where you can talk in terms of the optimizing every part of the search engine. For example, the kind of product information, the kind of pricing, where it is located, all this can be optimized using the. So if you today you're opening a website and you want to search something, everything the operations curated in a such a manner where it ultimately leads you through the decision of taking uh, a consumer in terms of purchases, and it gives you a lot of insights in terms of how the customer behaves, how the customer. So these are some of the things which importantly looks into in terms of what kind of taglines, what kind of titles that you are giving, and what are the internal links that you can give, what are the various kind of sources of information that can be linked to that. So using a CRM software, you'll be able to increase that particular engagement with the customer and the process. That data driven operations manifests itself in giving better results in terms of the customer information as well as customer need assessment, and in terms of curating products in the right manner, which we're talking about the personalization part. Of course, you need content writers who can use today. Today again, ChatGPT has come in a big way of where you're using AI to curate information according to the customer needs, according to what kind of query they have, to cater to their customer requirements, and they are able to meet those requests. So today, customer relationship management is not only acquiring customer, but also giving very suitable information to increase the engagement part so that they can be retained over a long period of time. I just talked about one. There are many companies like Salesforce, Zoho CRM, Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot. These are well-known software which are implemented by the retailers in order to not only give products but also scale up, upscale their products, downscale their products, and looks into what kind of budget requirements they have. Everything, it all depends upon what kind of a narrative that you are engaging. It's like I talk to person and I try to find out ways and means to understand the factors which help in taking a decision. In this case, the decision being of buying a particular product or a service, right? The importance of analytics and automation cannot be again diminished with the kind of engagement that we are looking into. Today, as I told you, today's customers are very tech savvy. They are also very impatient. They also want quick solutions, right? So analytics helps you to not only analyze the behavioral aspects, but also helps you to understand the need gaps in the marketplace, and what could be a quick fix to those need gaps in terms of products, in terms of kind of partnerships, in terms of in terms of engaging customers at multiple levels, right? And getting the reference, right? And then we are automating certain things and making it manual in certain cases. All these parameters can be looked into from the point of the CRM software implementation. Analytics plays a very, very important role, and where you are dealing with millions and tons of information day in and day out. Analytics helps you to give you a holistic picture of how the retailer behaves in the marketplace, what kind of product categories are being browsed, what kind of a sales history does he have, what is the amount of spend that they have, what kind of new customers has the person brought in, what kind of, and it also tells you which are the customers you should be ignoring, and also which are the customers you should be taking. There are customers who will say, okay, fine, I'm interested, but they do not convert. So who do you be giving? So it helps you to give loyalty cards, loyalty rewards. You must have seen in Future Group and Reliance, they have Reliance One or Green Cards by Pantaloon. So you find that these kind of loyalty bonuses or the rewards or the cards which are floated by the company is basically a discount card which they are giving, but it is not given to every customer. They look into the past history and past kind of a engagement with the retailer, and then only they have to have a certain threshold based on which these cards are given. So they ensure that there has to be some certain amount of spend for you to qualify into that, right? So it makes it very easier for the customer to retain. You must have seen in jewelry shops also, they use something CRM initiatives so that they know that okay, jewelry is an expensive proposition. So what did they say? Okay, you put something like 5,000 or 10,000. So you invest and invest it for 11 months. On the 12th month, you don't pay that, but on the 12th month, once it gets over, you can come and buy something of value to the jewelry, to any particular jewelry that you can buy. Again, understand the price sensitivity, which perhaps has dissuaded a customer to buy. Today, by coming onto the behavioral understanding the behavioral pattern, you're able to inject a kind of a scheme whereby the customer is engaging with you more and more on a regular basis. And then that happens when you complete it, the customer is satisfied. They're able to acquire products which they perhaps which is the aspirational value, but still they are able to buy it. So it can be triggered to that also. So generating more sales, but also those experiences add on for future also. When they want to extend it to the next year and the year after, they would share it with their friends. They will get people on board. As a result, what happens? You get more traction from the other customers needs to go into it because it's an expensive affair. Another thing is that you have to also understand that the retailer also has to see the future progress in terms of okay, what kind of benefits that can accrue by investing in the CRM. So success is linked to not only the adoption but also how it is being executed and how easily it is getting adopted at different levels. Apart from that, of course, the issues of privacy and secrecy is something which needs to be attended to by the retailer by implementing various security based parameters. And coming to the last but not the least, it looks into the CRM affiliation in the retailing sector. You have to understand that loyalty is one of the big takeaways, and how the brands engage with the customer has been the benchmark in terms of engaging with the customer, assessing their needs, and going forward in terms of upscaling their product purchases. You can collaborate with others, and CRM gives you that opportunity to collaborate with others and create campaigns in order to build them. You can also have CSR activities, which can also be put into this, and you can have a feel good factor being there, and customers do feel happy about it. Last but not the least, where it helps you is increasing the long-term relationships with the consumer segments, because today's customer can be further classified into age group, demographics, the capacity to buy, the buying ability. You can classify on that basis. CRM helps you to slice and dice the data and can create more avenues to engage with the customers, right? And going forward for a very long-term relationship. So you cannot feed one size fits, one kind of strategy does not fit. That's why when you talk about CRM as a strategy, it has to take care of the various changes which are there in the customer and as well as catering to that. So to summarize, it is central for retailers to adopt CRM. It has become a dire necessity because of the complexity that is there and the customer behavior, because this aims at not only increasing the experience part, loyalty part, but also revenues. Hence, it is linked to the profitability. Today, it is a tool which is can be used if harnessed well, can become a biggest competitive advantage for it. With that, we complete the entire retail management engagement with you. I was happy to engage with all of you, and thank you for your patience for the entire session. Thank you.